It says a company knows that the cost in thousands of dollars, so I'm going to mark this because it's telling me not only with a variable, but it's also telling me units, to produce X. Now this is very important, 100 items. And that because X is my variable and the units is 100 items. Is given by the cost function, and they give me the rule. That means I don't have to draw a picture, I don't have to find anything. It also knows that the revenue in thousands of dollars, so revenue is another variable, from selling X hundred items is given by, now I have a second function. How many items does the company need to produce to break even? That is, when will revenue equal cost? Round your answer to the nearest integer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, nearest integer, and not dollars and cents, so it would be rounding it to the nearest dollar, essentially, is what they're saying. So our units, we have X, and this is in hundreds of units. Now what does that mean? That means if X equals 1, we are talking about 100 units. So somebody say 500 units, X would be 5. So 500 units means X equal 5 because it's in hundreds. And that's that's tricky. That's tricky. And then we have C of X and R of X. These are Y values. And these are in thousands of dollars. So we know what the units are. They want the break even, so break even means revenue equals cost, or cost equals revenue, doesn't matter which way you take it. The revenue function is 0.35x. The cost function is negative 0.1 x squared plus 2x plus 5. So this tells me where essentially the revenue and the cost function intersect. That would be the break-even point. And any number of units more than that means I'm going to start to make a profit. Anything less than that will be a loss. So just bring everything to the same side. So I'll have 0.1 x squared, and now subtract 2 from both sides. So that's going to be, oh well, let's go ahead and do this. 0.35 x minus 2x minus 5 equals 0, and it's because I'm dealing with decimals. Or 0.1 x squared. This is going to be a minus because 2 is bigger than 0.35. It's going to be 1.65 minus 5 equals 0. Now, of course, that's not going to factor. So if it doesn't factor, what am I going to have to use? Quadratic formula. So using, we'll say QF, quadratic formula, where A is 0.1, B is negative 1.65, C is negative 5. My variable is x equals minus b, minus a minus 1.65, plus or minus the square root of b squared, and b is negative 1.65, minus 4 times a, which is 0.1, times c, which is negative 5, all over 2 times a, which is 0.1. So this is equal to 1.65 plus or minus the square root of over 0.2. So now I go to my handy dandy little calculator and I find out what's under that radical. So clear. Parenthesis negative 1.65 parenthesis squared minus 4 times 0.1 times negative 5. So essentially that's what I put in my calculator. And it's 4.72. I only take it to the nearest integer whenever I finally give my final answer. So I can take it out to all of these places, or I can take it out to like 4.7 or 4.72. And I'm going to do 4.72. And it doesn't matter to me, and you're going to say, well, why? Because in the end, I'm going to be doing most of my calculation with my calculator anyway. So this is going to be, so x is going to be 1.65 plus the square root of 4.72 over 0.2, or x is 1.65 minus the square root of 4.72 all over 0.2. Notice I use the plus and the minus. And I have to do that because I don't know essentially which one's going to be which. It's got to be the plus. A plus plus a plus is a plus, divided by a plus is a plus. Here, if this, which it's going to be, because the square root of 4 is 2, so anything bigger than 4 is going to be 2. And that's going to give you a negative number, and you can't have a negative number of units. So, but here we go. 1.65 plus the square root of 4.72, 2, and enter, divide 0.2, enter, and it's going to be x is 19, it's actually 19.11 units. And then you can see why they're saying round to the nearest integer. That's whole number.
So on the one you just did, you entered the whole amount. You said 1.65.
I just did the numerator and then did the denominator.
Okay.
I don't trust me to do it all at one time.
Okay, got it.
Makes life easier.
Yeah.
And this is 1911, or x equals 19. What's the units on x? 100 units. Now, if I come down and do the other one, 1.65 minus the square root of 4.72. Enter, I'm coming up with a negative number. Divide 0.2. And I get a negative number, so this guy is going to be negative. This would be equal to negative 2.6. And so I exclude him, can't have a negative number of units. See, even if they were defective, they wouldn't be considered a negative number of units, because you're still producing units. You just can't sell them because they're defective. So the answer would be 1,900 units, or you could write it as because 100 implies 2 zeros. This is a tricky problem, and